All right, here is 11.2. 11.2 is comparing box plots. So I can compare two sets of data displayed in a box plot. So last time we did a dot plot. This time we are doing a box plot. So a box plot is a graph that shows how data are distributed or is distributed. That's all it really shows. How much is it distributed? Where is it distributed? So we have a couple of new terms. One is what's called the lower quartile. It's the middle number that falls between the smallest value and the median. So basically it's the middle of the smallest value in the middle. So the middle of the middle. So it's like a double middle. Well, I should have gone with upper quartile. So I'm going to jump to upper quartile. The upper quartile is the middle that falls between the median and the largest value of data. So this is the upper middle, is how you would kind of explain that. It's the middle of the upper half of the data. Okay, so we have a lower half of data, that's the lower quartile, and we have the upper half of data, and that'd be the upper quartile. Then we have something that's called an interquartile range. So the interquartile range is the difference of our upper quartile and our lower quartile. So it's just like range, except it's only dealing with the quartiles now. So we have range, normal range, biggest, take away smallest. Now we have the interquartile range, which is biggest quartile minus the lower quartile. And I'll show you where on these box and whiskers all this is. So right now we're just going to talk about a general box and whisker, right? So this is what a box and whisker looks like. And the reason it's called that is because we have our box and our whiskers. Not a tricky name, just kind of a funny name. So this is the number of points a high school basketball player scored during the games he played in the season. And they organized his data, all the points, in a box plot. So you can see this is just showing how it's spread out. It doesn't actually show every bit of piece of data. We only have five dots, but there might be all sorts of other dots in between. So it's a little different than a dot plot. A dot plot shows every single dot, where a box plot just kind of shows where is the data, but we don't see all the data. So we're still going to deal with the least and greatest value. Okay, so this is the least value right here, that dot right there. So it's at 15. And then we have the greatest value, that dot right there, so it's at 30. So those are probably the easiest ones. The median is just like the median on our dot plot. It's the middle. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Guess what? The median's right here for us. This is the median. The middle. It's not a trick. It is that middle of everything. We split it perfectly in half. It's like we cut it. Okay, so 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I just want to make sure they were going by 1. So there's the median, 21. All right, so lower quartile and upper quartile. So remember that was the middle of the lower half. So if we look, this is the lower half, right? This is the lower quartile. I'm just going to put LQ, lower quartile, that dot right there. And so that's at 17, 18. It's right in the middle of those. So we would say the lower is at 17.5. And then this one's our upper quartile, because remember, it's the middle of the upper half. Okay, and so it goes right here. So 25, 6, 7.5. So the upper quartile is at 27.5. So I know it seems like, how is that the middle? They're clearly different sizes. Well, it's just the middle of this data that's here. Okay. And so it's not really showing, it's not saying that there's more dots over there, it's just saying these ones are actually more spread out, this part of the data. So if this was a dot plot, there would be more spaces on the upper half than the lower half, okay? So the interquartile range is these numbers right here subtracted. So we're going to go 75 and a half, and we're going to subtract 17 and a half, and we're going to get exactly 10. So just like the range, it's also still just telling us how spread apart the box is. That's all it's saying. So my question down here says, what is one half of the box wider than the other half? It should have said y. So can you change that word to y? Is one half of the box wider than the other half of the box? So if we look, this box is definitely smaller than that box, and what they want to know is why is that? That's because one half is more spread out than the other half. Just means that data has a wider range. They are more spread out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is compare two of them. Now that we kind of have a better idea what is a box plot, we're going to go and compare two box plots. All right, so we have these two box plots. They are showing time spent shopping by two different groups. Now we don't know what kind of groups these are. Is it men and women? Is it adults, kids? Is it an age range? We don't know. All we know is they took two groups and they talked about how much time they spent shopping. Okay, so we're going to, just like we did with the dot plot, we're going to compare their shape, their center, and their spread. Exactly the same as we did last time. So we're going to compare the shape. Well, is their shape hugely different right now? Do they hugely look, you know, a massive difference? Well, them separately, no, right? These boxes look pretty similar. These whiskers look pretty similar. So the groups have, let's just say have, there we go, similar shape. We do have one whisker and one box smaller than the other. So if we look, the whiskers down here are longer than the whiskers up here. That means this data is really spread out compared to this data. And then if we look, our boxes are pretty similar. They're opposites of each other, but we do have one box on each that's bigger than the other box. So their shape is actually similar, but we're going to see that they're maybe slightly different, but their shape's similar, right? One whisker bigger than the other, one box bigger than the other, and their boxes actually almost look the same, and their whiskers almost look the same. Okay, so let's compare their centers. Remember, the center is here. This is the median here, and this is the median here. Median is center. So let's go median group A. So we have to kind of estimate this because these do go by fives, right? 45, 50. So we're just going to have to kind of estimate. I would definitely say group A center is maybe around 47. We don't have to be exact because there's no way for us to exactly tell. So it's about 47 is where I would kind of put it. So then we'll go median group B. And the nice thing is the median for group B is actually at 40. So we would say medians are 7 apart. Maybe put a star next to that. So there's 7 difference. All right, spread. We can actually look at 2 different spreads now. If we want, we can look at the range but we also can then look at their interquartile ranges as well. Okay, so since we're talking about interquartile ranges for our spread more on box and whisker plots, let's just compare those. Okay, so let's do group A. All right, I'm going to use the black. So group A is this. Remember, this is our lower quartile, and this is our upper quartile for group A. So we have 30 and 55. That's kind of nice. So group A, we're going to go 55, take away 30, and that's going to get us exactly 15. That's kind of nice, right? Nope, not 15. I can subtract, I promise. 25. Just quickly fix that. All right, and then let's do group B. So here's the lower quartile, upper quartile. So we kind of have to estimate this one and this one. So we'll just do our best on those, on estimating. Maybe we'll say it's the upper quartile is like at 59, and the lower quartile is maybe at, I don't know, 30, what do you want to say, 32? I think that's good, 32. And so we would subtract those, and we get 27. And so they're actually really close. Spread is close, right? Similar. They actually have a very similar spread, which is kind of what we said in the beginning, is that they are similar. Alrighty. So things to remember, that the lower quartile is the middle of the lower half. And then our upper quartile is the middle of the upper half. All right, so here is your independent practice. It's comparing them, so same as the one we just did together. So you're going to compare their shape, their center, remember that's median, and spread. Remember for spread, we're going to use that interquartile range. Okay, so for spread, you're going to find interquartile range. So you are going to have to write some sentences a little bit more like the last example, right above, okay? So use the example up above to do this one. Alrighty, until next time.